Hi, this is Bob Kay from the AMD World Championship. We're here today with Mike at the 2010 Sturgis. Mike owns Kiwi Motorcycles. Very interesting company background in that he started building replacement parts for the early Indian motorcycles because of their unavailability. Well, it got to the point where Mike had so many of the different parts available, he thought to himself, why not make it a full motorcycle? So that's what we're seeing here today. Mike, obviously your styling influence is based on the replication of the early Indians, but what does it take in the manufacturing process? Let's start with some of the sheet metal like the tank. How do you get something like that completed with such a flawless finish?
Well, when I have Travis as my main fabricator, and Travis is a terrific fabricator, I'm more of a mechanical guy, concept guy. And when it comes down to it, I rely on Travis. And Travis loves board track races. And this is a collaboration between Travis and myself. We had a customer that approached us and wanted a board track racer, and it's something I've wanted to build for a long time. So this gave us a perfect opportunity to really execute this bike. We actually poured over a lot of the old racing pictures. We had an idea, but we really wanted to incorporate some of the classic racing stuff. And with our motor being a flathead, it gives us a good platform to have a lot of freedom. The tank is period, teens. The handlebars are rather unique. If you notice, the handlebars have especially if you get a front-on view, they drop down and then they're fully adjustable out at the ends out here. And this particular bike you can ride on the racetrack or ride on the street just by moving them around.
Well, obviously you followed very strongly the early keys of styling and stuff. There's no question of the board track influence. Let's talk a little bit about the chassis. Now, my understanding is you actually have the chassis and you've done some design work here. Has there been any new innovative features in the chassis that actually make it better than the original?
Yeah, originally you wouldn't have had a trans period, teen, well, it would be the O's. Say 1905, 1910, in that era, you wouldn't have a transmission bolted behind the engine. So that brings in a bit more of a challenge because we were dealing with extra length, but we still want to keep the style. We want to go with a single loop frame. I wanted to put a curve in the front down tube. But the biggest challenge is to get the right looks with a transmission on behind it. That allows it to be more of a rideable motorcycle. It's a 4-speed overdrive transmission, so we like the styling, but all the bikes that we manufacture are rideable and have to ride. I expect my customers to get on the bike and ride any distance they want to, so gas fuel tank capacity is important. So when it comes to rideability, it poses some more challenges upon us.
Well, it certainly looks like you've accomplished it, because to the average enthusiast coming, this would appear to be just a very period bike. You've maintained that look very well. Being involved in the custom business, I know your front ends have become very popular with the popularity of the bobber. What have you done? What does it take to build a modern front end like that girder spring style, and yet still maintain the look on that?
Well, it just sort of comes natural for us, to be quite honest. We manufacture around 2,500 different part numbers for the classic Indians. So manufacturing a front end just seemed like a little evolution for us in our business. We just sort of hit the market at the right time where the custom bikes were looking for something different, and we got it featured on the top bikes. The leaf spring front end actually runs, some people think that it rides stiff. It does not. It's all in the leaves. You can adjust the leaves, you can make them longer, you can make them shorter, you can add more leaves. So different weights of the bike, different weights of the rider. You can actually move the whole leaf pack in or out to fine tune it. So it's, and it doesn't pogo either, because the leaves themselves have friction between them. So as they move, this business is going on, so it creates some friction, and that gives it the dampening. So it's quite a good front end. There's another model we're actually going to build off this. This is just one of our platforms. The next model I'm going to build is a Harley version of this bike. You know, we're not tied into any particular design with our engine. That's the nice thing about our engine. It doesn't really spell out Indian. It's a pretty neutral engine, so we can build Cyclones off this. We can build Flying Merkles, and all it is different frame and different tank styling. And likewise on the Harley, early Harleys, we're going to do the same thing, and we'll have a Harley model as well. So we're not just tied into, you know, my business, my hobby, my life, our family has all been around Indians, but you know, there's folks out there that like other brands. So with our motor, I'm going to be creating different brands and different designs.
Well, that's really exciting to hear, because I know you've had the focus on Indians for years. Let's go back and talk a little bit about that engine. How much of that does come from Kiwi? Is that 100% manufactured with the castings of the cases and the heads and the cylinders, or do you get some of those components outside?
No, it's 100% Kiwi. I'm real proud of that engine being a totally proprietary American-made motorcycle engine. It is 100% Kiwi. The cases, whatever the platform we build upon, while everything looks like original Indian, we've actually incorporated a lot of design improvements into our engine, especially in the strength. We don't have any oil leak issues. We've changed the oiling on the inside. We've put bigger bosses around bearing housings. So, but the exterior appearance is, you know, to keep it original. That was the challenge. But I'm really proud of it to call it 100% American-made engine.
Well, you know, Mike, it's a beautiful bike. It obviously carries that flair of an early replica. Very, very exciting to hear that we can use this engine to other platforms. I mean, virtually some of the early bikes are just unavailable anymore, so it's nice to see that. Plus, have them as rideable is just a real plus. This is a production bike. If somebody wanted to have something like this, how long would it take them to get it?
We run on a backlog. Most of our bikes we build to order. We can never, it's that way just because we're so busy that we can't get ahead. So it'd be nice to get ahead. But this way the customer can get the bike the way he or she wants. It's a production bike with a custom attitude to it from our point of view, because every customer likes something a little bit different. You know, the next customer comes along and says, hey, I don't really care for this tank. I don't really care for these handlebars. I want taller handlebars. Well, you know, we build it all in our shop, so we can suit it, you know, build it to the customer's taste. You know, he or she can fly in, sit on the seat, tell us where they want the handlebars. That's the sort of company we are.
So what would be the lead time if once you go through that initial meeting and get the specs all figured out?
Ideally, we like 3-4 months. That doesn't push anything, and we can do a really. I'm all about quality. You know, I'm not about high production. I'm not about really pushing the stuff out. It's about high quality and customer satisfaction. If it takes 3 or 4 months, that's what it is.
Well, 3 or 4 months certainly doesn't seem like a long time to wait for something like this. Hey, I know Sturgis is a busy time for you. We appreciate you taking the time to give us this interview, plus actually entering the bike into the AMD World Championship. Thanks for coming by, Mike, and we hope to see you again next year with some of those new Cyclone or Harley models.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Suzuki, and you are watching the AMD World Championship of Custom Bike Building vidcast. We are sponsored in part by Big Dog Motorcycles, Crane Cams, and S&S.